righty. Thank you. Sorry. Next up, guys, we're going to do a panel about joining forces with Disney Infinity. As a lot of you guys know, this year we partnered with a bunch of external video game studios that lent their expertise to improve Disney Infinity for all of you. So I'd like to invite some people up on stage to talk about their collaboration with us at Avalanche Software and at Disney Interactive on all the great things that they did for Disney Infinity. So first up, we'd like to bring up
Jeff Gosztlyla from Avalanche. He's the game director on the Twilight of the Republic playset.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Oh, I'm not shaking. We see you every day.
I see you every day.
Yeah, I do.
Shake your hand.
And who's next, John?
Stephen Stanyon from
Ninja Theory.
I saw the wrong thing on the prompter.
It's okay. Stan, what's up, brother? And next up, I'd like to bring up Brian Green, who's game director on the Toy Box Speedway at Avalanche Software. How you doing?
And then there's got to be a joke here about Sean somehow.
Yes. So then, yes, next up, oh great, here he comes. Sean Millard, creative director. No, you're not kissing me. You're not. Sean Millard, creative director at Sumo Digital. It worked on Speedway. And then I'd like to bring up Mr. Mike Thompson, everyone's favorite Canadian. Game director on Rise Against the Empire's playset. And then do we have any of our friends here from Gobo? I think that they're too busy giving a lecture at SIGGRAPH right now. But all right, so great. Let's all take a seat and have a quick conversation here. What's up, dudes? I'm going to let John open up this one. John?
So we need to tell everybody the story about Sean and JV kissing, I think is the first one that we should do.
Okay. Well, why don't we... This is funny because on the prompter, the first question is, what attracted you to working at Disney? And in Sean's case, that was bizarre at GDC.
And your tantalizing lips.
Okay.
So set the scene. So it was GDC last year.
No, it's 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And we got introduced, our eyes met across a smoky room. And
this is totally not how this went. And he always does this.
And we just started talking over a beer, and I was waxing on about how much I loved the first Infinity. The kids were loving it, and I was getting really into it. And he started talking about some of the work that Sumo had done, in particularly the Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. Loved the karting experience and thought, hey, wouldn't it be great to have a karting experience like that in Infinity? And I said, hey, wouldn't it be great to work on Infinity and do a karting experience? Let's do it. And a couple of conversations later, and then there we were doing a very rushed but really satisfying karting experience, hopefully. And I hope you guys are going to like that. There's nine franchise tracks. There's a load of weapons to play. We've overhauled all of the driving model, and I think it's a lot more accessible, a lot more fun. See what you can do with it. You know,
yeah. Now, Sumo's actually been very, very busy right now because in addition to Disney Infinity, you guys have been working on and just announced other games as well, like Crackdown 3 on Xbox One. So that's quite a large studio there. Sumo's about how big of a studio?
250 of us in Sheffield, and there's another 50 in India as well. So yeah, we're getting quite big now.
That's great, yeah. So the Speedway is a lot of fun. What was one of your favorite parts of putting together the Speedway?
Aside from you. I think that, if you ask every member of the team, they'll have something different to say about it. But I really loved the very beginning when we were trying to work out the franchises that we were going to use.
That was fun.
For the tracks.
That was a fun meeting.
And everyone has their favourites, and we talked a lot with Brian about what he wanted. Some were kept, some were binned, but I think we ended up with a really nice, solid selection. And like the Toy Story track, I just wasn't a fan of the idea of that at all. I didn't like the idea. Loved, not Toy Story, sorry, Monsters Inc.
Bad Albert's in the audience here from Pixar.
Love Monsters Inc. Love Monsters Inc. Didn't think the track was going to work. Turns out it's one of the best. It is, and I'm glad I lost that argument. But I think we've got a really solid selection.
So
really
what was the one track that you were working on that like just didn't fell on the cutting room floor?
Well, there was a. Can we mention it?
You're giving him a shifty eye right now, Brian.
No, we can. We talked about a Bug's Life track with the scaling difference. that was way up
I
there.
still say that would make a really good fun track, different to the others.
Yeah.
I lost
Jumping
that.
off big leaves. And
Yeah.
things like
Perhaps
that.
we could add that. In
We
a
should have
update,
that.
right?
We should have that.
We will not have that conversation in real time.
Well, there were loads. What are the ones that you think of? There was some.
Well, I mean, we had a huge list. You know, I don't know, 40, because you know, across all these IPs, and then like you said, it was just so fun to kind of talk, and everybody has their tracks that they really like. There's a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas fans, and so we added that track, and so
that one turned out
was
really
good.
great, by the way, especially with the music as it's going in the background. You're
But
racing.
that was really good to give Jack a role within Infinity as well, rather than sort of just being a toy on his own, to give him something special. That was quite a privilege.
I remember in that meeting getting up and passionately pitching Pirates of the Caribbean and being like, and then the Kraken comes up and the tentacle comes out. Everyone's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Thinking way too big. But everything turned out really, really great. And the Speedway is a ton of fun.
Yeah,
So
it's a whole new thing for Infinity, and I really hope people appreciate it and start really enjoying it. I think it'll be a really good pillar.
Absolutely. Stan, I'm going to look at you and Jeff. What attracted you to working with Disney? And hopefully your answer is a little bit different than Sean's.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think people thought it was a kind of strange mix-up, Ninja Theory working on a Disney Infinity game.
Remember when we announced at PAX?
Yeah, it was.
We were
it
at
was
the
crazy.
Penny Arcade Expo. We announced that we were working together, and everyone's like, "Huh?"
But it was. I mean, I think when we looked at it, Ninja Theory had a lot in common with the Walt Disney Company, in that we both have a deep love of character-based games with compelling stories. You know, that's right up there on our list. All held together with awesome combat and stuff, but they're not too dissimilar, I think. And I think what attracted us was being able to create combat for some of the coolest characters around. I mean, where else can you get Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel stuff all mashed up together in one place? It's almost like a dream come true, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about you guys working together and kind of how that works, right? We've got the game director that's here as well as the main studio contact. Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about working with Ninja Theory? They're based all the way in Cambridge in the UK, and of course you're in Salt Lake City. So what's that experience like working back and forth?
It's interesting because we call every morning, over Skype and kind of discuss the big points. We do different reviews. We have video things going back and forth. But the thing is when our day starts, their day is kind of winding down, and then the next day we come in and see where we are. So I think we had to innovate and sort of figure out how can we communicate better and keep things moving forward constantly without having to be up in the middle of the night all the time. But it's actually worked out really well. They have such a good professional staff there, and it just all our stuff went really well. And I think
professional, another word used very loosely here.
I mean, the thing about Ninja Theory was just that when we first went over there to kind of do our due diligence, it was just amazing how similar their studio structure was, how similar their approach to making games and empowering designers and artists to do what they need to do. And even on the tech side, like a lot of the way we approach things was very similar. So it's almost like we were, twins separated by continents, so it worked out.
Yeah, and I think further to that, the idea that it is a bit of a bromance. But,
yeah, that is, right?
But just the idea of working with other developers, usually as an independent developer, you work with a developer-publisher model, and there's just you and the publisher. But I think what's been really awesome is the fact that we can work with our partners at Avalanche, we can work with Sumo, we can work with Gobo, and we can all feed off one another. We can get excited about one another's work. We can use Sumo's stuff for our pod racing. We can use Gobo's stuff for
That's completely unique in the industry.
Absolutely.
It's what? I didn't hear you.
Completely unique. It can't occur anywhere else. Infinity is the only place that can happen.
And I think you're right. Nowhere else can you get a collection of developers who are good at their respective areas, all coming along and adding their knowledge, their expertise, and it just makes it a pleasure. It's awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, I always forget that point about how much fun it is actually that kind of this gathering of developers actually come together and all contribute to the platform in a different way. Thompson, you've been quiet over there with your spiky hair and looking very cash today.
Thank you. I'm on my comp time.
Thank you for bringing that up and you're coming
I'm
here.
enjoying that. We worked our tails off, but it was fun.
was fun.
That's great. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about working with Gobo, Rise Against the Empire playset, what that was like, because obviously that's a huge responsibility to be able to retell those iconic moments from episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
So you want to talk a little bit about the development with Gobo, as well as working with the team at Lucasfilm to make sure that we were true to that, but then at the same time kind of had our own unique Infinity spin?
Yeah, so Studio Gobo, they're the first external developer we brought in. They were about 35 or 40 people. They used to be BlackRock Games.
Which was a Disney-owned studio.
Was a Disney-owned studio at the time. So there was already a really good sort of friendship and partnership there. So it was actually pretty easy to bring them on. We knew the guys. And they're actually a really good fit, just like these guys are now. And so this is our third play set. So we did Parts of the Caribbean, Guardians of the Galaxy, and now episodes 4 through 6. And for us, it was a good fit for Gobo because they've got all of this sort of vehicle background. And so they were able to come at the playset with, focus on flight controls that everybody here used. We also used some of the lightsaber combat from Ninja Theory as well. But we were nervous. Episode 4 through 6 was sort of a large task for us. It was something that we sort of grew up in our childhood, and it was just like, oh man, we're going to have all eyes on this one. We wanted to make Lucas proud, and Lucas was great. They definitely gave us all of the feedback we needed, all the details on all of the episodes. We did a good job with it. I mean, we have Endor in there, we have Hoth in there, we have Tatooine in there, and a lot of the Battle of Yavin. And so we're proud of the playset. I think everybody here who's going to play it should be proud of the playset. We think it's our best one so far. So we're super excited.
Now, there was some pretty cool technology that was actually integrated into the Rise Against the Empire playset. And in fact, it's so cool that that's part of the reason why guys from Gobo aren't here right now, because they're actually giving a lecture at SIGGRAPH, which is a huge convention that's going on. And they were, them as well as Disney Research, collaborated to work on that together. And I think they've been nominated as one of the best. What was the thing?
Well, it's the real time. So the SIGGRAPH is it's the high-end rendering and graphics kind of convention, and so very high-tech math stuff.
It's happening right now.
It's happening right now, and so they were selected as one of the finalists for the real-time category, and real-time being anything where you're drawing polygons really fast, but this is more how you animate all that stuff, and instead of normal animation, we do it, kind of like if you think about an animation would be like almost like an action figure. You kind of move the poses one after another, and you'd put like 5 poses together, show those in order, and then that would make it, that's how we would normally animate something. The way that these guys did it this time around, they actually calculate the balance of the AT-AT and then put the legs where it needs to go. So you can put it on any surface, you can put it anywhere, and then you combine that with some of these walk cycles. It's really high-tech stuff, but what it ends up meaning is you can get like kind of endless variations of AT-ATs when they fight each other, and so it's a really cool system. Yeah, we there's a team of Disney really smart dudes in Disney Zurich research program, and Gobo sort of partners up with them, and so they help develop the AT-AT physics-driven animation. But it's cool because you can take down the AT-ATs in different ways, so it's not like you're playing the same animation over and over again. Since it's physics-driven, if you hit it in the side flying the snow speeder, it will react to that differently each time. And so there's like 5 or 6 different ways that you can take the AT-ATs down, and it's really cool. So
and the way that they fall each time is different.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to talk a little bit. I think a fun story is when you guys finally got that system active and working in the game, the reaction from kids as we were doing play tests.
Yeah, I mean, there was just tons and tons of laughter. And so, I mean, you can just make them do all types of crazy things. And so you can put objects in front of their feet, make them trip and fall. You can kind of break the front legs out and they'll fall down on their face. You can take their back legs out and they'll fall on their butt. You can actually take the ATs over too, and you can control them by remote control. So we brought a lot of the toyness that Infinity delivers into sort of combating
with the AT-ATs, so you can actually take a remote control off of the AT-AT, throw it down on the ground, and then sort of control it in third person. So that's really cool. It's very unique, and I think it's something only that Infinity could deliver. So that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so like out of all of the different locations in Rise Against the Empire, which one are you most proud of? And if you say the one that you worked on, I'm going to make fun of you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Endor. I actually
That was the
no,
one that
but-
Mike specifically worked on the artistic direction for.
You know, I don't know if there's just one standout. I think, you know, we had to be sensitive to each area. So, I mean, the ones that stand out to me are Tatooine, Hoth, and Endor, and probably the Battle of Yavin. I mean, that's a lot, right?
Yeah,
But
That's the whole game, man.
Yeah.
it's
Pretty much
well,
the whole
yeah.
play set.
Minus a couple of the Death Stars. But I don't know. I'm proud of all of it. The team worked their butts off. I think it's a large play set, just like the other ones, and it's a ton of fun. So I don't really have one area that I think is the call out, other than I think the play set's great.
So one thing I think is fun, and a fun story to share with everyone, is like, especially between you two, the back and forth arguments that happen at Avalanche about who's got the cooler play set,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like, Mike's smiling because he feels like he always wins the argument. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. Whose play set is cooler?
I wouldn't pick one over the other because they're so different. I mean, I think that's what this is going to.
Speedway's cooler than both the places.
There you go.
No, they're different, right? We offer a different gameplay than what these guys do, but they're both high quality. And that's what I like about it. They are different. We're a little more sort of toy box, kind of open world sort of gameplay. They've got a little bit more combat centric, and I think that's good. So I think they have standouts. And
Yeah, we do riff off each other all the time, though, because we're watching them play their stuff, and it's like, oh, look, they're doing that. How are they doing that? Let's figure out how we can do that better. And then it goes back and forth, and we end up sharing different parts, system-wise, but then coming up with our own content. And I think it makes both playsets better ultimately. So.
Yeah, totally agree. You have any questions for the panel, John?
Just want to talk about a little bit of the philosophical difference with the design on those two play sets.
Yeah, I guess I can talk a little bit about how we wanted to leverage the experience that we'd had from our previous games, obviously making it for a more family-friendly market. Obviously, there's a big difference between games like Enslaved and Devil May Cry. But,
Yeah, just slightly different.
in fact, I remember there was, when we were presenting some of our stuff to marketing and we were saying, who is Ninja Theory? And I remember us playing that Devil May Cry trailer with the industrial music, and it was loud and it was brash, and it kind of got to the end and there was like stunned silence from all of
Yeah,
the...
you guys can imagine, we were in Hammersmith,
Yeah.
and we were introducing Ninja Theory and their development studio to the entire marketing staff in Europe. And it was like, and this is Ninja Theory. And we play it, and this video was like, "Whoa, whoa," like people's heads getting cut off, right? And like the lights came back on. All these Disney executives were like, like, don't worry, we're gonna get a Peggy 7. Don't worry.
But yeah, I think obviously combat, we wanted that to be at the core of the experience. We wanted to have things like the cool lightsaber fights with Grievous and Darth Maul, and that's the spine that lives throughout the playset. Is you might go to all these different places like Geonosis and Coruscant and Naboo, but through it, it's the introduction of new enemies and using your cool combos and learning how to master the combat and really be an awesomely cool Jedi, because that was what we really wanted to do, was to have that fan dream of becoming the ultimate Jedi when they're at the peak of their power.
It's funny too, for as hardcore games as you guys have done, is it fun? Tell us about what it's like working on a game that's intended for kids and family.
I mean, yeah, well, there's two things that you have to do really. One is make it a viable experience for all ages. So you have to have the simplicity of the controls there for the younger audience, but it has to have depth there. So we added things like aerial launchers and aerial combos, paused combos as well, so that there's some depth there for the more adult market. But also I think is not, I guess, taking or belittling the gameplay for children, because when we play tested, and this is something actually that all the guys that we work with said, don't dumb it down too much, because you kind of take for granted, or you kind of think
smart kids are.
Exactly, and we often found that in a lot of cases, the kids would often outperform the parents in those playtests. So yeah, don't dumb it down for the kids, because they can handle a lot more than you realize.
So going back to the original question then, Mikey, for you then, philosophical differences between, the actual design of the play sets. Can we talk a little bit about that process for Rise Against the Empire?
So, I mean, I've been at Avalanche for like 15, 16 years now, and one of the games that we were really proud of was Toy Story 3, and one of the areas that I worked on was Western Town with John, and we did a lot of design on that. And
which was the original Toy Box
Which was
mode.
the original, that's what kind of sparked the Toy Box part of Infinity. And so, so we wanted to go back to that and create a play set that sort of mimicked a lot of those gameplay patterns, which was sort of kids' creation, play your way. And so we take the player through the main story arc, but we deliver a lot of what Toy Box does. So we have customization, like you build your Hoth base before you go out to the AT-AT battle. And we want the player to kind of jump around, like they can go through the main story arc, but what we want them to do is kind of play the playset how they want to play it. And so it's not like we're sending them through a linear A to B path. And so after you get into space from Tatooine and over into Hoth, you can go back to Tatooine and do, finish up some of your missions there, or head out back into space and over to Endor and areas like that. And so that was kind of the play pattern that we wanted to do, and it turned out really well. I think we actually had in our play tests, the kids would actually they kind of play like they do in the Toy Box, where they get a little bit lost, and it's hard to get them to go back into the main story arc and continue the play set, but that's good. I think kids play it how they want to play it. I think it plays really well in multiplayer, and so we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's fun is that people are really in for a treat when they play these different experiences on the Infinity platform, right? Because Twilight feels and is about, from a mechanics perspective and presentation perspective, different than what's happening in Rise Against the Empire. And so every one of these new play sets, and Inside Out, of course, if you guys have seen, is more of a puzzle platformer. So it's, all these different experiences, and obviously a kart racer, are something I think that makes Infinity very unique from a platform perspective, because you have these different mechanics. Now, we've got our Toy Box artists here in the crowd and fans of the Toy Box that are watching from home. So maybe you guys talk a little bit about some of the coolest unlocks in your play set that will translate into the Toy Box, ones that you're most proud of.
Yeah, I mean, since we were sort of creating more of a Toy Box style gameplay, we have a lot of toys. And so I think we have probably over 50 toys that go into the Toy Box that you'll be able to play with and make your own experiences. So you can build your Endor environment, you can build your Hoth environment, you can build your Tatooine environment. We've got all of the vehicles and toys from each of those locations too. So your land speeders, your speeder bikes, your snow speeders, the AT-ST, the AT-8, well, not the AT-AT. So I mean,
X-Wings.
The X-Wings, Millennium Falcons, the mounts, so you got your Tauntauns, the Banthas. And so, I mean, we wanted to make sure that we really supported the Toy Box with a lot of toys, and I think they're going to have a blast with what we've delivered there. So.
Stan, how about you?
Jar Jar Binks, obviously.
That's right. That is kind of a mic dropper there. Yeah. Any other virtual toys that you're proud of that people can unlock?
There's a couple of things we did. We actually got Darth Maul and General Grievous as bosses that you can bring into the Toy Box. So you can set your own stage and then battle them with any character you want, which I think is super fun, super cool. And also throughout our playset, you're recruiting younglings, into the Jedi Temple. Those become sidekicks that you can use in the sidekick mode.
I'm glad that you clarified that, because I received a tweet this morning from someone who's like, I see General Grievous in the Toy Box, would you just announce this character? And I'm like, it's not exactly like that. That's really cool too, as people then go and build their levels, right, inside the Toy Box. So there's so many ways now you can put a boss at the end of it. You can use the new spline tool, and a lot of you guys are actually going to see when the Toy Box team comes up here to talk about all the new features, ways that you can really creatively express yourself that you never have before. Brian, anything in particular that sticks out in your mind?
Absolutely, Marshmallow from Frozen. You'll be able to place that. And King Candy in his transformed, menacing monster form. There's a ton of stuff that we bring over, but those two, those are two of my favorites.
Sean?
I think it's the huge variety of assets and stuff that you can make your own tracks with now. You know, now there's more than 100 vehicles that you can race with. The kids aren't, well, not kids, no one is going to be impeded by not having the stuff anymore. There's just
a lot of people have been asking, you know, these are great racetracks inside a speedway. Can I use some of these elements to create my own racetracks?
It's all created with toy box stuff, so yeah, absolutely you can.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, we know, you know, people have created wonderful races. You know, what we've done is refine some of the mechanics, bringing in more toys, so there'll be assets and improvements and polish that you'll be able to put into your own tracks.
It's a completely different experience now.
Yeah,
Very cool.
way better.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here.
John, before we...
What?
Is it not time for another giveaway?
Hold
It's
on.
actually question time.
It's question time, John. You smart butt. And we have Tyler here.
Me first, okay. I do. Oh, okay.
Yes,
clap.
Tyler. Let's see your hands.
All right, I have quite a few questions from the chat. First one is from Elm Seeker. It's specifically for Ninja Theory. Elm Seeker wants to know what kinds of things have you done to improve combat in 3.0?
Okay, yeah, so
Succinct.
I could go on for ages about this. It's really nerdy and boring. But no, like we've improved things like response time for the combat, so that when you press the button, it's really swift and immediate. The combos flow together really well. There's lots of variety there. All of the different characters have their own fighting styles and their own individual force powers. We've just really brought all the experience that we've had from the other games we've worked on and plowed it into what we have here.
Give the thing that I think is really impressive, give the one-sentence description of how everything that you've done now translates to the old stuff.
Sure. So the idea is that you can use the advanced combat stuff that you see in our playset with any held melee weapon that you can use in the toy box. So frying pans, the flamingo mallet, Carl's cane, all of those things use the combat system that we've been
Yeah, so it's
working
crazy to see, you know, basically doing air juggles now with Carl's cane and stuff like that. All right, next question.
Awesome. The next one comes from Bruce Banner's Bad Manners. He wants to know, has there been a multiplayer fighting game component that's been considered for the toy box?
That we have definitely considered that. We'll leave it there.
All right, and the next one comes from Joshua 0813. He wants to know, he would like to hear more about the lightsaber battling. Was it difficult to get right?
It's not really. I mean, it's you have such a broad array of kind of styles that these characters use. It's about just what's right for the character, and that involved a lot of back and forth between the guys at Lucas, making sure that the fighting styles were right for each of the characters. So, for example, Anakin's fighting style is really aggressive, which suits the kind of latent dark side within him, whereas Obi-Wan's is a lot more considered and technical, and Yoda's crazy, flipping out all over the place and kind of whirling all over the place. And Ahsoka uses twin lightsabers to hit loads of enemies around her. So it's kind of just making sure that that the style is right for the character.
Cool.
Just from my perspective, I think that when these guys first brought their demo and integrated the force powers into the combo system, it gives a lot more expressiveness to combat just in general.
Yeah.
And it was fun out of the gate.
When you're knocking someone away and then, as Anakin especially, pulling someone towards you and then knocking them away and then doing it again, it's just that kind of punching bag mechanic makes you feel so powerful as you're playing as him.
I think that the approach we like to take is that if the player feels like they should be able to do it, we let them do it. So you're right, it allows them to what we call express themselves with the combat.
And then, JV, I know you were there too, but when we first showed that to Lucas too, I think there was that moment of hesitation of like, it's so aerial, it's so frenetic and stuff. And when they first looked at it, they were like, wow, this is actually really cool. This might be what consoles need for
absolutely. I remember Matt Philibrand, if he's still here, he was like, we've been trying to work with the Ninja Theory guys before.
Yeah.
And these would be great guys to help work on lightsaber combat. And I think that, again, going all the way back to, when we did the announcement, we were in the 2.0 development timeframe, and people kind of scratched their head, not really thinking that the intention, of course, was to bring you guys on to make lightsaber combat super cool inside of Infinity. Next question.
And our last question comes from RentZWS. He wants to know, can you play the Hoth battle multiple times?
Yes.
Yes.
Easy
So
enough.
this year inside of Disney Infinity, we actually, it took quite a bit of work, but you can actually go and replay missions at any point. So you can very, very quickly just, once you've defeated the playset, there's a specific area that you liked, you can reload that mission, and of course, across all the Star Wars playsets, any of the Star Wars characters can play. So if you actually want to see what it's like to play with, Kanan from Star Wars Rebels inside of that Battle for Hoth, you can do that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's also challenges based around the HATs too, so there's also sort of replay value there as well.
Yeah, and we've got we have like almost like a battle bots mode right there. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you could go and play the challenge and with your friend, but the cool thing is you could also sort of beat on each other too. So I mean, JB and I could go in there and he could play an AT-AT and I could play one and we could battle each other. So that's
and I would win.
That's kind of fun. No.
Actually, Mike is a secret thing about his personality. He's hyper competitive. So as you see him around, make sure you pick on him and tell him that you can beat him in anything.
Yeah.
Because he will stand up to the challenge no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this panel and for all the amazing work you guys did for Disney Infinity. Okay, Sean.
It's time for another giveaway.
Who's the Force strong with?
And?
PlayStation and American Tourister. luggage as strong as the Force.
Very cool. Here, do you want me to hold something for you? There you go.
All right, so we have a lovely R2-D2 American Tourister 21-inch spinner. This was a very popular pick at Comic-Con for when we're giving these away. Everybody wanted the R2-D2 luggage. So one lucky audience member is about to walk away with one.
All right. Who's that lucky audience member going to be?
Somebody Vance, I think.
All right, Tiffany Churn.
Tiffany Churn, come on down!
Come on up here.
All right.
Congratulations.
With the Kingdom Hearts shirt, I love that. So what do you think? Are you excited
gosh,
about your R2-D2 American
Yes.
Tourister 20 spinner?
Yes.
It's awesome. It looks great. It looks really great.
Cute.
It's awesome. And so where do you think you're going to travel with that?
D23.
Oh, nice, D23. We'll see you then this weekend.
Good answer.
All right. Congratulations.
All right, so we have,
Oh, there's another, we
Yeah.
got another one, right?
courtesy of our friends at Sony, we have another PlayStation 4 to give away.
And this one's going to, I know who this is.
Chris
Evolos.
Avalos.
Where are you?
Evolos, come on down.
Chris Avalos, come on down.
Come on up here.
There he is.
Today's your lucky day.
One of the best, if not the best, modder of Disney Infinity figures.
There you go, man.
Congratulations,
Thank
Chris,
you so
man.
much. Wow, thank you. I
And
appreciate
thanks
it.
for being here, man.
Thanks for all the amazing stuff you do for the community also. This is a great event. So
Oh,
thanks
awesome.
for inviting me and being here.
Cool.
So.
Thank you for being here.
Very, very, very cool. Okay, so next up, I have to grab my remote here. I shouldn't put that in my pocket.